It was a big week for the Bryant Basketball program. The men get their first win of the year, fueled by Quincy Allen's second half explosion, and meanwhile, the women's team stays on fire, starting 3 0 and even receiving some national praise. I'm your host, Zach LeBlanc, longtime Bryant Basketball fan and color commentator for the women's team on WJMF radio. I'm breaking it down and telling you how it all happened here on the Bulldog Breakdown. Kicking things off, men's basketball hangs the championship banner for the 2024-25 season in their home opener on Wednesday night. Not only that, they took a win, beating Dartmouth 82-75. And Bryant, like the last two games, their first two games of the year, they came out of the game slow. And Jamie had admitted in the post-game press conference, even he was nervous playing this morning in the home opener. And I think also part of that is raising a banner. You know, a lot of these guys weren't here last year, but anytime you raise a banner for the organization that you play for, it sets the expectation of what's to come. And so that is the goal of this team, to win a championship. And so you can tell they were a little bit nervous. They had some slow defensive closeouts to begin the game. On Dartmouth's second story of the game, just a miscommunication up top that led to an open layup. And offensively, I think still some guys figuring out where to be. There's some poor spacing, just knowing where to go. It's going to take time, especially when you're in a new offense like this. But you'll see in the second half they really changed this game. After the 10-minute mark, I think is where Bryant settled in. So they're down 18-9, 10 minutes into the game. And the player that completely changed the tide for Bryant in this one, Aaron Davis, I want to talk about his infectious play. First thing he does when he comes in the game, I think it was 3 or 4 possessions straight on defense, where he's the one that comes up with the defensive rebound. And then after that, physically diving into the stands to save a loose ball. One of those rebounds where the ball awkwardly sort of just goes along the baseline, and Aaron Davis physically just jumping, leaping into the stands to save the loose ball. And he pulled it all together, I think, too, with that backside strip, Dartmouth player posting up, and Aaron Davis, same side from the corner, goes and gets that backside tap, frees the ball, takes it in transition, he gets to the free throw line, and this type of play is infectious. That's the type of play that wakes everyone up. I talked about how Bryant started this game a little bit slow, but Aaron Davis comes in and immediately sets the energy, sets the tone, and I think from that point on, it really woke everyone up, because the intensity from there in the game for Bryant didn't really drop. And I think this is going to be a good resemblance for the type of player that Aaron Davis is for this team, where not everything he does is going to appear in the stat sheet. He had a play in the second half where I don't know if it was a miscommunication on defense, but there was some transition play where Dartmouth comes down and they have a wide open shooter in the corner. Aaron Davis is on the complete opposite side. He's in the opposite corner, and he sprints across the baseline to get the closeout. That is something that's not going to appear in the stat sheet. And so after that 10-minute mark, all of a sudden, Bryant 12-0 run completely fueled by Aaron Davis' hustle and energy. And when you play the game the right way, when you are willing to hustle, when you are willing to fight, when you're willing to leave it all on the floor, the basketball gods will reward you. He had that and one in the second half where he drove to the right, spun back left, and he literally just kind of flipped the ball up, and it perfectly fell through the net. And the basketball gods will reward you. If you play the game the right way, you will be rewarded. And so I thought that was sort of all that coming together. And so a large part of credit to Aaron Davis for basically bringing Bryant into this game, bringing them back into it, and ultimately setting up Bryant to win this game, because the intensity didn't drop off from there. And that's where Quincy Allen completely took over this game for the Bryant in the second half. The first thing that I wrote in my pregame notes before this game is, how can Bryant get Quincy Allen going? The first 2 games of the year, he still had some of those highlight plays, but nothing was consistent. You need Quincy Allen to be your best player. And I'm not saying he has to go out there and score, 30 every game, but he has to do a lot of stuff for this team, and that's exactly what he did on Wednesday night. From steals to protecting the rim, I mean, his blocks are insane. His athleticism is absurd. People talk about, use the phrase that a guy's jumping off a trampoline a lot, but that is literally him. He gets up there and so quickly, and he will erase your shot. He had 4 blocks in this game, put back dunks and 1 threes, pull up threes. He did just a little bit of everything for Bryant, and it turned into a fantastic game, easily the best of his first 3 games here at Bryant. And so it was good to see after these first 3 games where he struggled a little bit to finally see him really put it together. The team overall just put it together. And that second half run, was completely fueled by him. And he's had such an interesting career so far. Just going back to high school, the 2020 to 2021 Washington, D.C. Gatorade Player of the Year. He then goes to Colorado and unfortunately has to have hip surgery, forcing him to redshirt his freshman freshman year. Never really gets much of a momentum there at Colorado. And then he goes to James Madison, and funny enough, he played on that same team that Michael Green was a part of, that James Madison team that was pretty good a couple of years ago when they lost in the first round to Duke. And then last year, he goes to Chicago State and finally, puts it a little bit together, 17 games there, 9.6 points and 5.6 rebounds. But now, coming to Bryant, he looks fully healthy, and you're starting to see, why he was so touted coming out of high school. I mean, he was a former top 100 recruit coming out of high school. And so now he's healthy, he's putting it together, he's in his 5th year, he's ready to ball, and I love what I'm seeing from him. And this is what you need from Quincy Allen, especially come conference play. He should be one of the best players in conference play, and they're going to need that from him. I mentioned, too, Quincy Allen knocked down some threes in that second half, and Bryant, as a team in the second half, 8 for 17 from 3. I mean, the game plan is clear. They're going to shoot a lot of threes. I mean, we were told that before the season that you can expect 50% of their shots to come from three-point range. And exactly in the second half, they took 34 shots, 17 of them coming from 3, and they shot 47% from 3 in the second half. So, the big question is, do they have the shooters to consistently shoot that well? We saw it in the first game of the year against Siena. I believe it was 10 for 22 from 3, so not too bad, like we said, but, that's a little bit under 50%. And then the Georgia Tech game, I mean, they 0 for 15 on their first threes of the game. So there's a little bit of variance there, and I'm glad that, especially in that second half against Dartmouth, that Bryant finally took over that game, especially beyond the three-point line, because if you're going to shoot a lot of shots from the outside, you got to make them. Because, I mean, missed threes turn into transition points. They turn transition threes for the other team, so you've got to make your threes. And I'm happy that Bryant especially made them, and not only that, they really just fueled the second half of the team. And in today's basketball landscape, I mean, the three-pointer is obviously so perfect. You can say, whether you think it's analytically driven and whatnot, but you have to be able to hit your threes in today's basketball. It can physically set you apart from another team, just hitting more threes in them. It's that simple. And if you're going to shoot them at this much of a clip, I need to see consistency. And so I'm hoping that Bryant takes this sort of momentum, especially from three-point range, into the next game. The other thing is, how could I not give credit to the freshman starting trio? Anytime you start a single freshman in a lineup, it's always a little bit nerve-wracking, but having 3 of them in there, and they all stepped up to the task. Starting Tim Radofsky, he's been really consistent through these first 3 games. Another double-digit game for him, 13 points, 6 rebounds, and what stood out to me too, 4 assists, whether it's driving and kicking or just, being a threat because of his size and seeing the floor well because of his size. And I'm really interested to see his development, because he's what we're seeing in a lot of these modern basketball players, where they're taller, they're lengthier, but they have the skills of a guard. And so I'm excited to see his development. He was only 1 for 6 from 3 in this game, but when he gets going, he has the range, he has the consistency, he can really hit. And so I'm excited to see his development for this team. Ty Tabales as well, 15 points, 13 of them coming in the second half, was a big part of that second half explosion, especially from 3. But my favorite part for him, 4 assists, 0 turnovers. I said it last week. There might be a little bit of growing pains when it comes to keeping and taking care of the ball for him, but 0 turnovers in this one, especially in the home opener, a game where, guys admitted they were a little bit nervous. I was glad to see him just be poised and present in the moment, and he was very active, he was talking, very vocal, and so I was glad to see him just engaged, focused, and locked in on this game. And lastly, Ashley Sims, he scored the first 5 points of the game for Bryant with a little post-up to start things off, and then he hit a 3, which he got a good bounce on, and then he did the finishing touches of the game too with a little dunk to end things off. 15 points for him. He's inserted into the starting lineup in this one. Credit to Ashley. I mean, he came out, you could tell, just like the rest of the team. I mean, he was a little bit nervous coming out. He had a couple post-up opportunities, one where he, spun and just lost the ball on the baseline. But after that, he settled in. He was a big impact for this team. I mean, one of the things that I really like about him is that he provides a real post-up presence. He is big. He's physical. And so shout out the freshman starting trio. All 3 brought energy to the table. 15 for Ashley, 15 for Ty, 13 for Tim Radofsky. I'm excited to see how the 3 of them grow, and I think this could be potentially the starting 5 that we see throughout the year between Allen, Ashley, Ty, Radofsky, and Keegan Harvey. And the other thing is, too, just to point this out, Keegan Harvey and Ashley Sims are 2 of the most physical screen setters I've seen. I mean, they're both big, but they are really physical on these screens, and that's Ty Tabales, especially in the second half, really got going off that Their off-ball screens are incredible, so I'm excited to see how they utilize those sides, especially away from the ball. Now, the big question, can Bryant bring that home opener momentum with them? They're at Valpo on Sunday. Tip off at 1 o'clock. Virginia Tech next Wednesday on the 19th. That one's slated for 7 p.m. And the big one, UConn, November 23rd at 6 p.m. I'll be there for that one. I'm excited to see, how this team shakes out against one of the best teams in the nation. And then, of course, finally back home the Wednesday before Thanksgiving against Mercy University. Big 3-game road stretch. I'll be here talking about it on the Bulldog Breakdown. Make sure to listen. Let's move on to the women's team because they are on fire, 3-0 to start the year, and they received some big national praise this week. It's all right here on the Bulldog Breakdown. So the Bryant women's team, 2 big wins last Friday. Completely blew out Cornell 64-38 at home. And meanwhile, they took their first road game to Marist on last Tuesday, and they picked up a 66-56 win there. I want to start on that Cornell game because this was the big standout for me, that the ball continues to move, and they picked up where they left off in that Central Connecticut game, the home opener, where they completely just blew the game open in the fourth quarter. It was a tight game to start things off, but the fourth quarter was a complete avalanche for Bryant, and that's where they picked things off, especially on defense. Bryant wins the opening quarter in this one 17-5, and they only gave up 2 points in the first 9 minutes and 55 seconds of game time. Cornell hit a 3 at the end of the quarter, but the defense extremely well. One of the big things I've noticed about the defense so far is that they're not going to pick up a lot of blocks, but they were really good at just deterring shots, contesting shots. A lot of, their perimeter play is funneling the opposing guards into the paint because Bryant has a lot of size, whether it's, Miranda Nyborg, Nia Scott, Rose Nelson, and even at the wing position, Martina Boba has a lot of length. So Bryant, even if they're not getting these blocks, they're going to contest their shots. Bryant, the other thing that stood out to me the past couple of years, I think the turnovers have been a big problem for this team. They force a lot, but they also give up a lot. Bryant in this one, they win the turnover battle 15-7. I can't stress how important the turnover battle is because it's just simply extra possessions. And it's a sign of growth for this team where the turnovers have plagued them the past couple of years. There have been some games where they've lost because of the turnovers. And like I said, Bryant will force a lot of turnovers, but they'll also give up a lot. So a game where you force a lot of turnovers, but also on the other hand, control the ball yourself, it just creates extra possessions. It's winning basketball, to say the least. Now, one new player I'm a big fan of, senior forward, another Fordham transfer, similar to Miranda Nyborg, is Rose Nelson. She is physical. She's a tough rebounder. She'll literally grab any rebound that they need her to get. And one of the things I talked about Aaron Davis, how he plays infectious earlier, it wakes people up. She's the same. She's always active. She's always talking. You can tell she's completely engaged in the game. It doesn't matter whether it's, a dead ball. She's looking up. She's talking. She's communicating. I think that's a big thing too, especially coming in as a senior forward. I know a lot of these players here at Bryant, now have a little bit more experience, but anytime you can get somebody that's especially coming from, a little bit of a bigger conference where Fordham's in to come down, help a lot of these younger players, I think it means a lot. It speaks a lot, and it's always good to have leaders on your team, and you can tell she's really one of them. She's already established herself as one of those on-court leaders, and so I'm excited to see how she plays throughout the year. She's another one of those players that not everything that she's going to do is appear in the stat sheet, and that's okay. That's okay, because if you're winning basketball, that's all that matters, and so she's going to contribute to winning basketball. I'm a big fan of her so far through 3 games. I think that's one of the most underrated pickups they've gotten in the offseason, so I'm excited to see what she does. The next thing I'll say, and I can't stress this enough, when you watch this team, pay attention to the ball movement. This might be one of the most unselfish teams in basketball. This team has a load of talent. They've said it themselves. They know that they have talent. They know that the past couple of years, especially, they've been knocking on the door. They played Binghamton in the first round 2 years ago and lost at home. Last year, they got their rematch. They get the 3rd seed. They beat Binghamton and they go into Vermont and unfortunately lose, but it's time. I think, Lynn and Kokoski, the culture is building. They're knocking on the door of being something great. And I'm hoping that this is the year that they put it together, because the past couple of years, they're showing the improvements. They've shown the flashes, but the big question is, can they consistently do it? And so one of the big reasons why I think they are consistently doing it this year is that ball movement. This team has so much talent, but they are so unselfish. Pay attention to how many possessions this team has where every player touches the ball. And not only that, but how many passes they make versus how many dribbles they make, because there's so much movement of the ball, but there's also so much movement of the players. People willing to make cuts, people willing to dive to the basket, setting up their teammates for opportunities. And one of the things that I've talked about before and will continue to talk about is Mia Mancini's development. Freshman year, 2.7 assists per game. Last year, she upped it a little bit, 3.2 assists, and I think she showed some of those flashes of what she can be as a playmaker. Because the great players, we know what she brings as a scorer, but the great players make those around them better. This season, 16 assists through 3 games. She's averaging 5.3 on the year. That's amazing. I'd love to continue to see that from her, because at the same time, she's still scoring 13 points per game, especially last year, but she had a little bit of a down year, 10.9 points per game. She's back to those numbers of freshman year where she was one of the best scorers in the conference. Now she's scoring and she's also playmaking at an elite level. If she can continue that play, that is huge. It's always, when your best player can not only make plays for themselves, but make plays for the team as well, that's important. And on top of that, last year, I talked about it a little bit, 3.2 assists per game, but at the same time, she averaged 3.6 turnovers per game. So that's not the assist to turnover ratio you want to see. This year, 5.3 assists per game, just 6 turnovers for 3 games. So 2 turnovers per game, and she's averaging 5.3 assists. That's amazing. That's tremendous. That's the type of assist to turnover ratio you want to see. And the great players, like I said, they make those around them better. I think she, come conference play, should be in contention for the American East Player of the Year. She's that good, and I think she's finally starting to put it together. She's starting to get fully comfortable, and she's starting to, show off her complete game, because we've seen the flashes of the playmaking, but now she's put it together. She's a little bit more comfortable here in year 3, and not only that, she's got talent around her. This team has continuity. She's been playing with a lot of these players for a couple of years now, so everyone's connected. I'm excited to continue to see her development, and like I said, bookmark this. She should be in conversation for American East Player of the Year come end of the season. Now, I teased it in the beginning, I teased it before this segment, but of course, it's time to talk about it. Bryant Women's team getting a little bit of national praise. Of course, throughout the year, ESPN does their bracketology, where they predict who will ultimately make the tournament come March. And obviously it's still early in the year, but it's always good to see, when a national outlet shows some praise. And ESPN right now, as of a couple of days ago when they released their updated bracketology, has the Bryant Bulldogs, the women's team, as the American East representative in the first 4. Bryant would play Howard, both 16 seeds in the first 4. And like I said, I know it's still early in the year. We're just a couple weeks in, but it's always good, especially from a national standpoint, this, get some of that recognition and praise. And I think it also is a reflection of the fact that this team has been knocking on the doorsteps for the past couple of years. I talked about it earlier, but 2 straight home playoff games. Last year they advanced out of the first round and they played Vermont, who's we all know what kind of program they have there, but they've been knocking on the door. There's a chance for, real success here, and I'm glad that they're just other people are paying attention to them. There is nothing more that I hate than, especially as just a Bryant men's and women's basketball fan, when I see at the start of the season all the talk is just Vermont. It's Vermont Catamounts. I don't care. I know what they've done, but every year is different. And to me, it's disrespectful to the entire conference, because it's almost, to me, it just feels lazy, because ESPN constantly, every single time, it doesn't matter how well another team is playing, they always just peg Vermont to go. And I understand it's a safe pick, but other teams are playing well. They deserve the credit, and I'm glad that Bryant's finally getting it. I hope, and like I said, they are knocking on the door of success. I think this is really the year that they can put it all together. In year 3, Linnea Kokoski's tenure, she's built up a squad. She's built up some players, that she's had since her freshman year: Mia Mancini, Nia Scott, and she's brought in some transfers last year: Miranda Nyborg. I talked about Rose Nelson coming in, Mimi Rubino coming last year. So she's built up her program, she's built up her culture, and this is the year that I think they finally get over the hump. And I hope that come the American East tournament, this team is at least hosting 2 playoff games, if not the final and the championship as well. I'm glad ESPN finally. I'm tired of seeing the Vermont Catamounts there. I'm tired of it. I'm so tired of it. Thank God. Thank you, ESPN, for giving Bryant the praise that they deserve, because they've looked amazing. They've looked amazing through 3 games, and credit as well to another American East team, UMBC. They beat Virginia last night. Incredible upset. So finally, someone other than the Vermont Catamounts is predicted to represent the American East for the 2025 to 2026 NCAA Women's Tournament. Well, the women's program, they'll be back at home tomorrow, Saturday, November 15th, 5 p.m. tip-off against the Rider Broncos. And then after that, a little bit of an away trip there. Merrimack, Stonehill, Boston University, Providence, Yale, a lot of good programs mixed in there. So we won't see them at home again until December 7th against Holy Cross. But like I said, chance to go up 4-0 on the season tomorrow, Saturday, against the Bronco Riders. I'll be on the call. Thank you again for listening. I'm Zach LeBlanc, your host of the Bulldog Breakdown. I'll be back next week talking everything you need to know Bryant men's and women's basketball. And while you're here, if you're interested in basketball, take a listen to my other podcast, The Full Court Breakdown. I talk everything NBA and Celtics. Give it a listen. Thank you once again. I'm Zach LeBlanc. Enjoy the rest of your day.